Well, good evening. This stream I'm going to create is to mirror to ourselves how extremely painful situations we are put into by our fate or by the quirks of life that all of us have to face at one time or the other, in one form or the other. They say that to every person in the society, in the nation, whatever, comes a moment to decide in a strife of truth and truth. In a strife of truth and truth, whose side you take. Uh, Alternately, there is also an observation to every man in the nation comes a moment to decide in a strife of truth and falsehood, good or evil side. So this situation seems to me a bit uh, a bit easier compared to the situation previously narrated. When you have to choose between the two rights and you are convinced about the reality of both the rights, you are convinced about the genuineness of both the rights, RIGSTS rights, and then you have to choose one. If you choose one, you wrong the other, and vice versa. Uh, when you have to choose between good and evil, then you take a risk that you choose the good and the evil gets angry and the evil entity or whatever it is, a force, can take revenge on you. You may be harmed, you may be mortally attacked, you may be killed even. And that also depends on how much conscientious you are, that you risk your life and you defend the good or truth, or you succumb to the pressures that you feel would be on you and you turn your face away from the truth, or you don't defend the truth, you don't plead in favor of truth, rather you plead in favor of falsehood, or you accept falsehood as being good. So many situations human beings are put into. We live in a world that is imperfect. This worldly life is very, very difficult to live. However committed you are to speaking truth, situations would come in your life time and over again to make a compromise with your principle that you won't lie, you would speak the truth. Maybe in 90% cases, you succeed. The pressures and you take the side or you go along what is convincing to you, what is truthful to you, or what doesn't go against your soul feeling. You go according to the call of your conscience. But sometimes it becomes so terrible to make a choice that sometimes you prefer to commit suicide than to make a decision in favor of this or that. Uh, my stream this evening is concerned with what I have been reading in the newspapers, what I have been hearing about the happenings in neighborhood. Uh, uh, and this is what is almost common to humanity, that you are tested and tested very rigorously. Don't they talk about a rigorous imprisonment? Those who commit felony, they are put behind the bars for certain months. But those who are hardened criminals and those who commit heinous crimes, they are put into prison for life. and in the rarest of the rare cases, they are even hanged. So it's very difficult to live that kind of life, imprisoned life. But then the person who is imprisoned for life perhaps reviews or perhaps looks back on the time when crime was committed and you have regrets, and during your stay in the prison you get washed off your regrets after expiating and doing something good against the bad that you had done. So situations in life come, maybe exceptionally, uh, you can say, lucky people. They may not have to face such situations. You may not find on the horns of dilemma that on the one side you have the devil to face, to fight out, or to succumb to, and on the other side you have another form of devil, the sea. You chased into the sea and you get drowned, or you try to fight out the devil and you get killed. Means on either side you have the possibility of self-destruction. You can't survive. I have spoken all these things which are understandable to any person who sees life, who has heard of life, and who participates in life rather conscientiously. Uh, I have taken this stream to examine myself and to make other people feel persuaded to examine their own lives. Do they get situations like the one that I'm going to explain, or do they feel the possibility of having such situations later in their life, if not so far experienced, or they rule out this doesn't happen, such things don't happen? According to some reports in the newspapers, in the Times of India, and earlier also, I have read about this, that you are somebody's daughter and you are all right, but your mother is extremely sick. She may be 65 or 45 or 85, but she is sick seriously. Doctors have come to the conclusion that she won't survive uh, more than 6 months. She is a cancer patient or a TB patient or any other disease, lethal, dangerous disease that she can't be cured. She doesn't have money to go to America to have treatment, and even doctors at the local level advise not to go, because even in America, the disease could not be cured because it has taken horrible proportion in its intensity. The killingness or the killing capacity of the disease is at the apex, and nothing can happen there in America, no miracle. You only have to exhaust your wealth, whatever you have, and you only have to have the troubles of going with your mother and coming back with her dead body. So this is the situation that I see a young woman put into. She remembers the love of her mother. She remembers most of the challenges that the mother faced, most of the troubles that the mother faced to bring her up, to educate her, to help her stand on her own, to make her feel a meaningful a moderately successful person in society, and the mother is not that old even. She is only about 55. And this woman, she's about 32, 33. And she has a daughter. And this daughter is only 3 months young. I shouldn't call that daughter 3 months old, 3 months young, a baby. And she lives with her husband in a place some 1500 kilometers away from the place where the mother lives with the family. The mother had some support from other members of the family where she lives, means in her place, in her in-laws' place, and now it is her place, and the daughter is away with her husband. The daughter has been told that if she likes to come to her mother to see her, to be by her side, to ask her what she fancies to have, to see what could be the best way for her to repay the debts, although it is said that the debts that you owe to your parents, you can never repay. Nobody can repay. Nobody can pay off the debts or pay off the sense of gratitude that you have in your heart towards your parents who not only give you birth but sustain you and make you stand on your own. So she wants to come. She weeps. She feels torn into millions of pieces, bodily, mentally. But she has a daughter, and she also is in the hospital where she was born. She cannot leave that daughter because she herself is a mother now. If she had not been a mother, if she had not had a baby to take care of, only 3 months young, 3 months old, if only she had been living with her husband who is at work or who is on a job, you could make a decision. You could convince your husband that he should take care of himself, and you should, and you could even have his consent and ready consent, nice consent, that he should go back to the mother and nurse her to life, or if her disease is not to be cured in the terminable state or situation, then she should stay until things happen to their logical conclusions. But see the condition of this human being, this woman, this 33-year, 32-year-old young woman, having had a daughter only 3 months in the hospital, and she is serious. But her chances of being treated to recovery are much higher. But the chances of the mother at her parental home are very slim, they say, the doctors say. She can't cover a distance of 1500 kilometers every 3-4 days. She doesn't have that means also. Even if the means had been there, she could not take herself away from her sick daughter, only 3 months young or old. If she comes to her mother, it won't be that she would come, she would sit by her side and she would die. It may take time, 1 month, 20 days, 2 months, 3 months, and she won't be able to do either the job on her mother's side or the job on her daughter's side. So a daughter, once upon a time, is now a mother. And a daughter also, once upon a time, was a daughter only. But she becomes a mother, she becomes a grandmother, and this daughter has become a mother. She might become a grandmother 20 years after, 30 years after. So this is the crisis time. This is the difficult time. This is the extremely painful time that this human being, this female human being has to go through. What should she do? Would you like to suggest to her? What decision you think would be all right for her? And if any decision she takes, what moral basis she would be standing on? Seeing off the mother to the other side of the world, the spiritual side, or to be on the side of her own daughter uh, so that she comes back to health, because chances are greater on the side of her own daughter. And she herself remembers her daughtership when she was not married. You be in her situation and feel the pangs. You be in the situation of any person being in this kind of situation and you feel. You may not feel as much as the affected one feels, because it is said the wearer knows where the shoes pinch or where the shoe pinches. But at least you can understand because you are a human being. Alexander Pope, in one of his poems, says that the proper study of mankind is man. In order to understand the pain of another man, uh, it's not that difficult, because you can put yourself in the situation of that other person and you can guess, you can imagine. I mean to say that human life is extremely difficult to live. Poets and philosophers, writers, they have compared human lives with the lives of non-human creatures. And many of them have poetically observed that the life of a human being is extremely painful, is extremely shadowed by sorrow and pain and darkness. One of the examples of such observation we can find in a poem by P.B. Shelley. Uh, to a skylark is the title of the poem. And these lines express what he means by the cursedness or the cursedness of the life of human being. We look before and after, and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught, and our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. And this is the situation that we human beings, we laugh, but the laughter also is artificial. The laughter has much pain hidden in it. We sing songs and delightful songs, and we consider many songs capable of bringing joy to us. Or when we are happy, we burst into songs or we start humming, singing. But even the most delightful songs considered by human beings have certain level of pain hidden inside them. That's why we look before and after and pine for what is now. This is our nature. That the past is gone, the future is so much bitter. It doesn't stay. We begin the day in the morning and then the day dies out before you realize that very little has been done that day, or nothing has been done, or you couldn't even do 1%, 5% of what you wanted to do, and the day is gone. This day is now part of the past time, and you look forward to future tomorrow, and so every today gets passed into past, and every tomorrow gets pushed back into past. The future uncertain, long, the past experienced, half forgotten or forgotten, but you have 20,000 years ago, 25,000 years ago, but human beings have not been living in civilized way for that long time, 25,000 years, 5,000 years, because the most ancient civilizations of the world, when they talk about human civilization, they say, okay, this civilization started 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. So not 25,000 years ago. And future is uncertain. You may have a future ahead of you. Ahead of you means ahead of humanity, people coming and going, people dying and getting born, maybe 20,000 years more. So present is the most slippery experience of life. It appears and it disappears. And in such a short life, you have this kind of test to go through, that you want to be on the side of your mother, whose daughter you have been, and whose gratitude is so much pressing on your heart, whose love and affection, whose nurturing, you can say, behavior made you, and now says, about to leave this world and you can't be with her. Experience the pain, even passively, feel the pain, and feel the situation of this human being, female human being, because she has her heart now in the heart of her daughter in the hospital. This mother cannot leave her own daughter because she is a mother. So how badly she is taught as a daughter of somebody else's, her mother, she wants to be there. But as a mother of this daughter of hers, she has a duty. Her mother may have other members of the family to take care of or to give support, to help her get round, to help her have treatment, and to make her feel that people are with her. But this 3-month-old baby who is in the hospital and sick, very badly sick, other members can't help. Mother's presence is a must. The mother has to be 24 hours with the sick 3-month-old baby. What should she do? Where should she go? What decision should she make? And if she makes a decision to go to her mother, what people would talk about her as a mother herself? What would be her own feeling as a mother? How much intensity of failure she would feel about herself, that being a mother, she's away from her daughter who is in pain. And at that stage of life, 3 months old or young, the mother and the daughter, symbiotic relationship at the highest level. Such a situation is one example that one female human being torn between two female human beings. On the one side, the mother, on the other side, the daughter. You can take similar situation to be taking place in the life of a man, the father and the son. And uh, this man's mother is no more. The father is in the last stage of his life. And this man is father himself, and his wife is gone. And the child that is there is the survivor of the mother. The mother died at the childbirth. And maybe that this child, 2 months old, 1 month old, 15 days old, now what sort of decision this man has to make? He remembers his father fondly. He remembers his father's loving hands touching all parts of his body in affection. And he is duty bound to take care of his child. His mother is gone. See, situation. In the case of that woman, perhaps the husband is there and he can take. But here, this man who is somebody's father, that young infant's father, without the mother, and this man thinking of his father who is about to leave this world, where should he go? What should he do? What feelings he should honor? How difficult or how easy you can guess yourself. You can make a decision yourself. So human life is extremely difficult life. Little while ago, I gave the example of P.B. Shelley's lines, observation, and even John Keats, his contemporary, and also a romantic poet of England. And he has written many odes, and one of the odes is an ode to a nightingale. And he is addressing the nightingale that your life is blessed, but see my life, human life, so painful. And addressing the nightingale, he says that your birth is of a different kind. My birth or human birth is a different kind. I hear you singing and I feel some relief from me. But how long? I continue hearing you and feeling the relief from the pain, but you get lost. You disappear. Your voice continues to ring in my ears, in my mind. But how long? The time comes when your voice disappears and I forget. And once again, I get pressed under the weight of the pain, the pangs of the pain. This is human life. My stream is concerned with this cursed human life, or this human life that has darkness of sorrow 99%, 95%, and light of happiness may be momentary. Most of the time, human beings are pressed, are crushed, are burdened. Sometimes you have some pleasure, and that also very little. It appears only to disappear as soon as it is possible. I gave the examples of two observations, P.B. Shelley and John Keats. Now you have a modern novelist, Thomas Hardy. He is considered to be a very sensitive, very sensible writer. His novels are too many, and almost all the novels, the stories also, are extremely interesting in terms of quirks of human life, in terms of coincidences, very horrible, and sometimes welcome to. And he too says in one of his novels, the mayor of Castor Bays, The main character happens to be the mayor of an imaginary city, Casterbridge. It's not a place in the real world, but this place has been imagined to be existing somewhere in England. And the story is woven around an unfortunate man, a lowly placed man who happens to sell his wife in the intoxicated state of mind or body. And he loses his wife as well as his daughter. In course of time, the wife happens to be lost forever, but the daughter happens to be back to him. But there is love-hate relationship. This person, a poor hay cutter, is now the mayor of Casterbridge, one of the chief officers of this city. When he was a laborer, he was a hay cutter, he was a man hired by many people to do their work. He experienced poverty, and he even would express the pinches of his poverty. At one time, he uttered, "So many things I want to have, but I'm not capable of having anything because I don't have any money." So, desires and passions and thirsts, but no satisfaction, no saturation, no answer to the essential demands of life. But when he becomes the mayor of Casterbridge, he has means, he has money, he has resources. But see the irony of human life. When he didn't have money, he wanted to buy so many things. Now he has money and he doesn't have any wish to have anything because of the happenings of his life, the crude and rude and shocking happenings of his life. His daughter, he wants to love. He wants to get her heart back to him. He wants to hear from her how she feels about her father who had committed a horrible mistake or even a sin in selling his wife to a navy man, a navigator, a sailor. But now he can't help that situation. He can't get his daughter convinced about his innocence or everything at the instance of the bad fate. And he dies a tragedy ridden man. He writes his will and he wants nobody to go to his grave, not even his daughter. He wants nobody to place any flowers at his grave. He wants none to approach his grave with any sympathy because he is self conscious of the sin that he had committed. And before that happens, he even observes through the spokesperson of the novelist, happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of pain. Means human life is torn, ever torn. Human life is ever cursed. Only sorrow heaped upon sorrow, darkness thickened by another layer of darkness. Grief only made more serious. It doesn't thin down. Once it comes into your life, and if fate is against you, because Hardy sounded a bit like a fatalist, that fate is invincible. If fate is against you, however you try to fight out the fate, however you try to come out of the shadow of your ill fate, you can't. Fate will crush you down. Fate will give you A curse, as added, gives a curse to a person round whose body it curls itself up and kills the person like that. So happiness is but an occasional episode in the general drama of pain of life. So many examples, hundreds of examples, thousands of examples, lakhs of examples you have in this world, in different parts of the world, that human beings are put to tests at what faults of their own. Of course, when you have to choose between the good and the bad, you have an option. You need some courage to choose the side of goodness, the side of truthfulness, and discard the side or distance yourself away from the side of evil, from the side of falsehood. But when you have a situation like this, that you are a mother of 3-month-old baby, and you are a daughter of a 55 or 50-year-old mother who is in the deathbed, and you are distanced 1500 kilometers, your mother lives away from you. You can't leave your daughter even for an hour because she is seriously sick. And you can't devote yourself wholly to your daughter. You can't love her because your attention is always hooked up with your dying mother. What would she think of her? Of course, she would know that she had another hope to be hung up, the daughter. She would know. But even then, her own desire to see her daughter, who is now somebody else's mother, to be at her side in the parting moments of life. You don't have words. You get emotionally choked. What words would beget in your mind? What feelings could give you even a semblance of relief? The mother knows the horrible crisis that her daughter is, but she wishes to see. She wishes her to be by her side in the last moments. And this infant 3-month-old, she doesn't have any feelings. She can't think of the mother. It is just by instinct that the mother is there, and she feels that the heaven is there, or everything is there. But she can't speak, she can't think. She can't communicate to anybody else that my mother should not go away to take care of her own mother, leaving me behind alone. She can't. She is non-communicable. She can't share her feelings because she is just 3 months into this world. So the stream titled or given this rubric that an extremely painful situation a human being finds himself in, and as an individual, you can't decide on anything. It's so painful, pain upon pain. I therefore would like to conclude this stream saying that we human beings have to accept this is the reality of life. And such a situation may come to any one of us, and we too would be indecisive. We too would be choked up with emotion. We too would be suffering immeasurably, indescribably, without any way out. This is human life. I may be sounding pessimistic, but this is the reality. Only to quote bitter things with sugar for the sake of quoting, for the sake of making it palatable, okay, people do. That's a different business. That's a different activity. As a diplomat, a shrewd diplomat, not any good to either the country he represents or to the country that he is posted at, that things are all right, things are getting all right, the two countries are mending their differences up, they are trying to get the relations better, and this diplomat goes off his duty from that country. Another comes in his place. He also speaks the same language. And the diplomat, I mean the ambassador or whatever you call him, means 40 years ago, he also spoke the same language, that this is the time when the two countries should be sorting out problems. They should be talking and talking and talking, no alternatives to talks. And they go on saying situations are being better, we are trying, situations are getting mended, the rough patches are being mended, good time will come. And the same language continuously being used, spoken, but the thorns remain between the two. Suspicion remains between the two countries, two nations, two societies, because politicians on either side, they are not straightforward. They don't accept the reality. They go on lingering, extending, prolonging the situation. So a diplomat is successful who understands the truth but doesn't describe the truth in plain words, sugar coated, or just diplomatic way you call it in phrase, just to buy time, just to you can say spend your tenure as an ambassador. Another comes, he does the same thing because you have the experience of the previous ambassadors, you read about them, you have been briefed about them, and they also came and went, and the thorns remain there forever. So to talk like a diplomat is one thing, to buy time, to befool others, to befool themselves, but to talk as a human being, as a simple human being, without any vested interests, without any one to please, without anyone to take benefit from, without any vested interest, you speak the truth out. You speak out your feelings. You speak out your heart. And that way, you at least feel that you have not spoken lies. You have not pretended. You have not been shameless diplomat or diplomatic sort of person. I have spoken. I have shared my feelings, my knowledge of the lives of some people that I have seen. I have referred to some poets, some writers, and many of you may have read, have heard about. So this is human life, that all of us have to accept that situations might come. If they have not come, good, well and good. If they never come, well and good. But if they come, then we have to see these happenings. We have to see these dilemmas. We have to see these crises of tests. And then we have to take lessons that we keep mum. We do, yes, we live. We do whatever. But then the tragicness, the pain remains. This much. Thanks a lot for listening or not listening. Thanks a lot if you ever happen to listen or may not ever happen to listen. God bless us all. Bye-bye.